All right, we're here as the Lost Rider Podcast. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, a listening post to the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune. This weekend's edition is also brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club for folks who don't have a country club. All right, now, here this weekend, we got another special guest with us. We have a young lady with us this weekend, Martha Spencer. Okay, Martha Spencer. And she is with Cajun Adventures. So we're going to find out a little bit about Louisiana fishing.
Yeah, that's right.
And it sounds great. Just listening to the stories and stuff when we're all sitting around, it makes me want to go to Louisiana and go fishing.
That's the goal. Yeah, I'm an offshore turned inshore guide, meaning I started on big boats and got too tired and moved to the smaller boats. But I'm a Yankee originally. I moved to Louisiana in 2015. Always had a little bit of saltwater in my veins. And everyone always asks me, how'd you go from a broadcast meteorologist to an offshore, now inshore fishing guide? I said I got really lost along the way. So, but I tell people, I did the corporate world for so long. I got so sick of it, I couldn't drag myself to work any longer, and I had to find something outside to do. So my office is the marsh and the Gulf.
No, that's great. That's great. And this seems like that's what I've been getting here lately. I've been getting everybody's stories of how did you get from point A to point B?
Yeah.
And that's I think for the young people that are trying to figure out their way, it's good for them to hear these stories from folks, because good Lord, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be when I grow up. And
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
The thing that you need to know is that life is too short to be stuck in something you hate, and don't get blinded by a paycheck. Now, I never got a good enough paycheck to keep me, somewhere I wasn't so happy. I mean, maybe if I was walking away from $250,000 a year, it'd be a little bit harder, but it is way more important to enjoy what you do every day than take home money that you get to spend 2 weeks out of the year. I have never once regretted leaving, what I went to college for and what I spent 10 years doing, 10 plus years to try something new in the middle part of my life. So if you are in a job and you feel like you're backed into a corner, I had a meteorology degree. What can you go and do with that? Not that much. You just have to stick your neck out, make connections, and find something to do. And I would never be doing what I am doing today if I just didn't take the leap. So,
all right, okay. Now tell us where you grew up again.
I grew up in Connecticut. My whole family is from up north, lives up there. I went to college in Florida. And once I moved down south, I said, I'm never going back to the snow. I need sunshine. I need warmer weather. I realized I'd never wanted to be too far from saltwater, but I think now later, we were talking about this the other day, that I just need open spaces. I need some pretty nature, some pretty scenery. Maybe some parts are not better, some aren't as good for me as others, but I love the mountains. I love the ocean. I just need a wide open space, and cities are not for me anymore.
All right. You said you went to college in Florida,
Yes.
In Gainesville?
I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, which is in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's 1 mile from the Speedway. So it's a school that produced a lot of pilots, aerospace engineers, military. But everyone said, well, next question, are you a pilot? No, I hate flying. I just really like weather. And weather translates into my life every single day. So,
Right.
It's the easiest job for people to poke fun at because it's not an exact science. I mean, I never took more slack than, you got the only job that you get paid to be wrong. I said, what's the batting average on a baseball player? I mean, there's plenty of jobs you can be worse at. Nobody ever told a plumber they were full of crap, but you're going to go up to a meteorologist and tell them they didn't study something for 4 years. I mean,
Right.
It's funny how everyone likes to dog on meteorologists until it becomes serious. I mean, who are you turning to when the weather gets rough, So it's a tough career.
All right. So how do you, okay, I think about it. I think about a college program, like I was an animal science major and then I was a journalism major. Mm-hmm. And so and I know I've talked to people who are in healthcare, and I've talked to attorneys, and I've talked to engineers and all of it. Like a meteorologist,
I
what are
didn't-
your core classes? What do you do?
Well, first of all, I didn't grow up wanting to be a meteorologist. It was never my childhood goal to do it. I wanted to be a radio broadcaster when I was young, but I quickly learned with my communications degree, there really wasn't any money in that job. Then I quickly learned there wasn't that much in meteorology, but I transferred from a school called Stetson University to Embry-Riddle University. And I simply just because the weather was so different down to where I was than where I grew up. And they had the degree program there. So it was kind of on a whim that I swapped to that. My whole life has just been one step in front of the other. I never planned anything too far.
All right. Well, I'm still trying to figure it out though. You meteorology, studying
Just say
the
weather.
weather. Yeah, studying the weather.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is ocean currents. This is
Atmospheric. Physics,
atmosphere.
yeah.
It's El Nino, all that stuff. And what makes what happen? I mean, it's cause and effect. That's what is so much of what you study, right?
Yes, and that part honestly wasn't the interesting part. I liked how weather translated to life more.
Okay.
When you think about when you see weather affecting things in your life, and I'm not just talking about plowing your streets, but when we were out bass fishing this morning, what was everyone saying? Oh, the pressure's dropping, the fish are going to bite, or how is this airport going to function today? With what is fog going to slow down? I mean, weather is such a huge part of everyday life, more so than we think about in everything. I mean, even out here, if we're out in Texas, I was in Del Rio in January, and you guys had a really bad freeze to where there's so many exotics in Texas, and they're not used to this kind of weather because that's not what they were ingrained to live in. So you're having to adapt and deal with conditions that aren't necessarily designed for what you are doing. So it's a constant part of everyday life, whether you see it or you don't. It's affecting you some way.
All right. Okay.
Pearl Harbor was literally, that may not have happened. The Pearl Harbor, all these attacks, because they were meteorologists back in World War II. And they may not have been able to plan these attacks, if they didn't have some form of knowledge about weather. I mean, it's a huge part of war, Are we going to be able to make this attack? Are we going to be able, what phase is the moon in? Do we have enough moonlight to do this? Are the winds going to translate to, are we going to be able to drop this bomb? I mean, weather plays a huge role in history too.
All right. You go by, and the phases of the moon are considered?
How much moonlight are you getting?
Okay.
There's actually a form of meteorology called forensic meteorology, where they actually call meteorologists to help solve crimes. So if somebody gets in a vehicular homicide accident and they're claiming that it was fog created or it was too dark to see, they can go back and look at the historical, what were the cloud conditions? How much light were we getting? Was it warm enough or cold enough to create a slick road? So you can use it to solve, prove and dispute things too, when you think about it.
Okay. All right. No, and I'm just thinking about how much when I was growing up, how many things we did going by the moon.
Yep.
You stop and think about it, and you don't hear about it that much nowadays.
No, the Farmer's Almanac went by the wayside. But I mean, as an offshore fishing captain, we looked at, for swordfish and deep water fish, we looked at the moon phases almost more than anything. Because animals that are living in the darkness are feeding at different depths when there's more moonlight. A tuna fish is going to have a terrible morning bite because if it's a clear night and it's a full moon, they're going to see the bait better at night. So they're going to feed more heavily at night. So when you're going to, you go through feeding periods, fish go through feeding periods just like people. You might not, if you're staying up late and partying all night, you're not going to eat breakfast till 10 a.m. So if they're out in the moonlight and they're feeding on bait fish in a clear sky, the times that you're usually going out to, daybreak, which is, traditional time when fish bite, they may not bite until a couple hours later. Same with deer hunting. You look at it, how many times do you say, what time of day do you go out and sit when there's a full moon?
Oh, well, it's, that's just an excuse to go sit in a deer stand. You go out there early in the morning and just stay there all day.
If you're a true deer hunter, but the people that don't want to get up early say, oh, they're going to be walking around at midday,
Right.
So
No, you're 100%
I think that actually does have an effect, I think, in animals too. I mean, it's just when things are accessible, and the moon creates tidal pulls. It creates stronger tides, which moves bait more. It makes it harder to catch bait. I mean, If there's a big moon and there's a big tidal surge, the current might be too strong to do what you want to do normally. If you've got a 4-knot current and you're trying to put out a live bait and keep it on a free drifting line, it's going to stay tight because it's too. If you're trying to hold the boat in a current, and that current's stronger because the lunar currents, the lunar effect makes the tides stronger, so it can affect fishing that way. It can make your life difficult.
Okay, no, this is great stuff. Yeah, I've never heard all this stuff applied that way, but no, it's cool.
Yeah.
No, and it's you've got the advantage on some of these boys.
Yeah, I wish I could say it could make me better, but it makes me understand things differently. It does. I don't necessarily know if it gives me an upper hand with what I'm doing, but it might make me kind of reassess when I go out. So there's major and minor feeding times, and the majors are when the moon is at a 90-degree angle to the horizon or on the other side, and the minors are when it's at the sunrise, sunset.
Right.
And those two time periods, even in the marsh fishing for redfish, you say, well, what are the majors? What are the minors? Well, those are created by the moon. I mean, that's where the moon is in the sky and where the sun is. So that creates more active feeding patterns.
All right. Okay. All right. I hope everybody's taking notes. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll thank the folks who let us come on here every Saturday morning, and we'll be right back.